deceptive earnings, conscience, the unconscious, and consequences. You will hear in this video. Deception. The very first moment when a human being sells himself. You must have noticed that as money came into your hands, your laughter began to fade. You felt that the happiness which once lived inside you had disappeared. Have you ever stopped at that moment? That moment when your hands trembled, your eyes avoided contact, and from some corner of your heart, a faint voice rose. This is not right. But you silenced that voice. Why? Not because it was wrong, but because the truth felt too expensive. This video is a psychological journey that exposes the inner conflict of a human being between deception, conscience, the unconscious, power, and consequence. Reflect on every word. Feel the emotion of every moment. Because this has been written to confront you with your conscience and inner reality. Stories of time that speak to your conscience. If you want every new story to shake your heart and mind and force you to think, then subscribe now to Memorable Stories and press the bell icon so you can stay connected with every new story. So, without wasting time, let us move toward our topic. Deception never begins with a major crime. It does not start with explosions and noise like a movie. More often, it begins silently, secretly, in the form of a small compromise, one that a person considers insignificant right in front of their own eyes, a moment that appears so ordinary and normal that its reality remains hidden from a person's sight, yet this very moment is actually the first step toward the downfall of the human soul. A small lie. This lie appears harmless. A slight manipulation, a benefit that you justified to yourself by saying, "Everyone does this. It's normal. There's nothing wrong with it." Perhaps the first time you said this sentence, you felt a slight relief, a small comfort that you hadn't committed a major sin, that you were simply moving according to the system. But this very sentence, this trivial excuse, places a small wound on your conscience, one that grows deeper with each passing day. From this single sentence, a person's downfall begins. Because when you make everyone your reference, when you present everyone's actions as your justification, your conscience becomes homeless. That conscience which once gave you the ability to distinguish between right and wrong now falls silent. It hides within you, or sometimes screams loudly. But you have stopped listening to it. Psychologists say, when a person acts against their principles, they are actually acting against their own identity. That identity which makes you you, which represents your inner truth and moral nature. And when you go against it, you are not rewarded with peace. Instead, you receive emptiness, inner restlessness, and anxiety. You feel those moments when, in the silence of the night, your own voice questions you. Is this really you? Is this your true identity? You took money into your hands for the first time, and that money seemed to give you happiness. But you knew that behind it, there was less hard work and more deception. Each note looked like the same ordinary piece of paper, yet you felt their weight, like a burden placed on your chest, pressing down on your heart and conscience. That money in your hands became a symbol of new power, but at the same time, it gave birth to a new fear, a new question within you. Is this power truly mine? Or is it just deception that allows me to feel control over myself? From that day onward, you began to change yourself. A new confidence entered your voice, one that carried a hint of arrogance within it. Your walk developed a stiffness, a posture that made people feel your presence. A new calculation appeared in your eyes. This calculation was not about people. It was about your conscience. You began to hold yourself and your actions accountable. But the truth within that accounting was bitter for you. You knew that you had sold parts of your soul, and this act of selling was slowly consuming you from the inside. You had promised yourself, "This is the last time, never again." But deception never accepts a final time. It arrives as a habit, slowly in small moments, gradually devouring human character. One day, you are surprised to find yourself doing what was once unacceptable to you. Carl Jung says, "When a person does not accept their shadow, that shadow takes control of their personality." You did the same. You ignored the darkness within you, your flaws, your fears, and then one day you yourself became the shadow, replacing your true identity with an empty form. You learned to use people, their weaknesses, their dreams, their trust. You turned every trust into a tool, every hope into a step forward. And after every use, you moved a little farther away from yourself. That part of your soul that was once filled with the light of love, compassion, and truth was now surrounded by the darkness of deception and self-interest. You knew this path was weakening you from within, but there was no one to stop you. Not you, not your conscience. This is the greatest loss of deception. It does not immediately show its effect by destroying someone else's life, but first it shakes you from your very foundation. It hollows you out from the inside, contaminating your emotions, your memories, your truth, and your dreams with deception. This damage arrives silently, secretly, and its intensity is felt most deeply in the stillness of the night. When everyone falls asleep, when silence spreads through the house, your unconscious awakens. This is not an ordinary awakening. It is the kind where no one asks you questions, but instead shows you the scenes you tried to suppress in the daylight. Old faces, those who once laughed with you or were worthy of your trust, now appear in your dreams and force you to confront them. Old promises, once a source of pride, now hang over your conscience like accusations. And every moment, every scene in which you sold yourself, forces you to wake up with an empty heart and a heavy chest. You turn over. You try to reclaim sleep, but sleep keeps running away from you. Closing your eyes no longer means peace. Instead, the anxiety hidden in the roots of every moment rises to the surface. The next day, you repeat the same actions, the same behaviors that are slowly consuming you from within. This is a cycle, a never-ending loop. Deception, then money, then fear, and then more deception. And within this cycle, you no longer remain human. You become a calculating machine, one that only produces results, ignores emotions, and hides reality from itself. You must have noticed that as money came into your hands, your laughter began to fade. You felt that the happiness which once lived inside you had disappeared. Happiness demands truth. It cannot tolerate lies or deception. And you had very little truth, far too little. The voice of your heart grew faint, and the consequences of your actions began to outweigh your feelings. This part of the video is the hardest, because from here, return is still possible. At this point, a person has the opportunity to change their path. But most people convince themselves that everything is fine, that everything is normal. They suppress their inner voice, close their eyes, and tell themselves that this is just a phase, just a temporary swamp. But the truth is that this is where everything starts to go wrong. From here, a person begins to run away from their inner truth. And that escape always leads toward a dangerous path. You think everything is over, that your inner damage has been forgiven. But no. This is the very moment where the real story begins. This is the point where the human soul is tested. And from here, destiny begins to take shape. The unconscious is the place where a person cannot lie. During the day, you may change as many faces as you want, wear as many masks as you can. But at night, when the eyes close, only you remain. You and your truth. All your bravery, all your show of strength, everything becomes meaningless here. You are forced to confront your real form, your hidden fears, and your inner weaknesses. Psychologists say that the unconscious keeps accounts. Every glance, every deception, every stolen right, every promise you broke, everything is stored in a single file. You may forget, you may convince yourself that everything is fine, but your unconscious does not forget. It remembers every hidden truth, preserves every suppressed feeling, and when the time comes, presents them back to you through your dreams. You may have noticed that some people panic without any clear reason. Some feel ashamed and start sweating even in a crowd. And some feel fear in silence. This is not weakness. It is the appearance before the inner court of a human being. These are the moments when your actions and your choices are taking note of you and placing you before justice. Carl Jung says that the truth a person runs from returns in the form of dreams. That is why your dreams cannot remain peaceful. You run. You try to deceive yourself, but the truth catches you every night, in every dream. Sometimes you are running. Sometimes someone is chasing you. Sometimes you are falling and cannot even scream. All of this is the echo of your inner reality, a call that repeatedly reminds you of what you have done to your soul. Your nights, your dreams, your silence. All of these are mirrors of your actions. They remind you every moment that deception does not only strike others, it breaks you first, then damages your relationships, your happiness, and your identity. And this damage is the kind that cannot be seen, but is felt constantly. These are not fears. These are judgments. These are the judgments you passed within your soul, in silence, in the chambers of your heart, when no one was watching you. These decisions are not momentary hesitations of a day or an instant. They are expressions of your inner reality. These decisions shape your actions, control your emotions, and turn you every day into the person you chose in exchange for the silence of your conscience. During the day, You appear strong. Your steps seem firm. Confidence reflects in your words, and the expressions on your face look solid and certain. People look at you and think that this person does not know fear, that they can face any challenge, but at night, the reality is different. When everyone falls asleep, when the sounds of the world fade, your breathing becomes irregular, your heartbeat accelerates, and your mind fills with questions. What if everything comes out? What if everything I've hidden is exposed? If all my secrets are revealed, what will I do? These questions deprive you of sleep, trap you in restlessness and anxiety, and remind you every moment that you were wrong. This fear is not an accidental experience. It is a sign of your inner truth. What is right does not need to be hidden. Whatever has been concealed in the light of your actions remains alive within you. Hiding does not give you peace. Instead, every night it reminds you of the same truth you cannot escape. There is a judge seated in the unconscious, a silent judge who neither looks at laws nor listens to your excuses. He only looks at your intention, observes the truth of your heart, and weighs your feelings. Whatever justifications you offer, whatever explanations you make, he is not listening. He only listens to the truth within you and bears witness against every lie, every excuse, every deception. You may have felt that you have become lonely. People are around you, but your heart is empty. Those close to you see you, talk to you, laugh with you, but you no longer have the strength to share in their happiness. Because your unconscious knows that one who betrays themselves belongs to no one else. You have made a deal with your soul that separates you forever and leaves you alone. Now you try to buy happiness. Expensive things, expensive trips, expensive gatherings. You thought all of this would give you peace and satisfaction. But all of it is superficial. It is only temporary pleasure. The war inside you never ends. Happiness is born from within, from inner peace and calm. And you are fighting for that peace. But your actions have made that battle heavier and more complex. Wealth earned through deception does not give you peace. It only creates noise, a noise that hides during the day, but echoes in your ears at night. This noise reminds you that you sold your inner principles, that you gained this wealth at the cost of your conscience. The more you keep yourself busy, the louder your unconscious speaks. This noise isolates you, confronts you with the truth of your actions, and forces you to face the consequences of your choices. This is the most dangerous stage, because here a person has only two paths. Either they accept themselves, acknowledge their mistakes, and walk the path of correction, or they break forever, surrender their soul, and sink into inner emptiness. At this point, a person does not change. At this point, a person starts hiding. Fear does not disappear. It only changes its form into power and arrogance. Now you do not appear afraid. Now you begin to frighten others. Your voice has become heavy and firm, your decisions harsher, and a lack of mercy is felt in your tone. This is not arrogance. It is the form of your self-protection. You did not want power to establish justice. You wanted power so that no one could reach you, no one could see you, no one could touch the fears hidden inside you. Carl Jung says that when the ego exceeds its limits, it becomes a weapon to hide weakness. Your ego has now become a shield, a means of protection. This shield keeps you safe on the outside, but suppresses your soul on the inside. You appear powerful, but the hidden fears and judgments within you remind you every moment that this is your reality. This is the result of your actions, and it will never let you forget. You began to name the rules, my principles, my system, my way. These were not just words. They were a declaration, a self-made decree in which you decided not to be accountable to anyone. This was the moment you removed responsibility from yourself, and the idea took root in your mind that you are the master of your own will, that only you know your limits. These words coming from your lips were not advice or explanation, but echoes of the arrogance and self-importance within you. Echoes that were taking you farther away from reality. People began to fear you, and you mistook that fear for respect. You noticed that people did not challenge you, hesitated to speak to you directly, and did not bring their truth before you. You thought this was a sign of your power and influence. But the reality was that this fear was not respect. It was silent hatred, a poison hidden around you. Every lowered gaze, every bowed head, every quiet posture was a warning for you. But you took it as proof of your victory. You gathered a few loyal faces around you. But this was not loyalty. It was necessity. These were people who were nothing without you, who would be lost without your authority and influence. That is why they stayed with you, revolved around you, and sustained their existence in the shadow of your power. And you, in illusion, believed them to be your true friends, without realizing that they were not loyal, only dependent. The most dangerous effect of power is that a person begins to see themselves as special. You also started separating yourself from ordinary people. Your ideas, your principles, your morality began to seem small and insignificant to you when applied to others. You started ignoring their thoughts, belittling their emotions, and each day the feeling grew stronger that you existed on a different level. But your unconscious does not remain silent. It keeps the fear hidden beneath your arrogance alive, like a concealed fire that can burn you at any moment. That is why you flare up over small things. That is why you cannot tolerate opposition. And that is why even small failures and disagreements feel like major losses. Everything inside you is trembling. At every moment, a war is being fought between your arrogance and your fear, and you are unaware of it. Now you do not ask for forgiveness. Now you grant forgiveness. But this is not progress. It is a sign of decline. You use power to protect yourself, to ensure that no one sees your weakness. Your decisions and actions are now displays of authority, not of morality. This is the point where a person risks their soul while believing themselves to be powerful. Power does not elevate you. It isolates you. No matter how high you rise, the people around you who once spoke the truth slowly disappear. Only flatterers and the needy remain, people who become part of your arrogance and fear. You may have noticed that when you enter a room, conversations stop, laughter fades, and people fall silent. This is not respect. It is fear. A fear that shows the limits of your influence and power. Yet you mistake it for victory. And a structure built on fear is always hollow from within. Your power appears strong. People around you see you as an important figure. But inside you, there is an emptiness, a weakness that can grip you at any moment. This is the emptiness hidden beneath arrogance, reminding you that power and fear, respect and terror are not the same. This stage is the most dangerous because here a person begins to see themselves as God. You consider yourself above every law and every principle. You believe no one can stop you, that you are accountable to no one. But one who sees themselves as God forgets the end. They cannot rise above the laws of time, life, and death. Eventually, the moment arrives for which no one is ever prepared. Neither power works, nor relationships, nor the money for which you sold yourself. This moment is silent, very silent. No announcement, no applause, just a feeling. That time is ending. You realize you have control over nothing now. Not the world, not your life. Psychologists say that near death, a person's defense mechanisms, you understand that wealth earned through deception was, in truth, a debt. A debt collected not over a lifetime, but at the final moment. Your soul feels this burden, takes account of your actions, and forces you to pay the price of your choices. People are crying outside, but you are alone, because the end is always solitary. No witnesses are needed here, because you are your own witness. No sentence needs to be pronounced, because regret is enough. You must face yourself and your actions, and this is the real test. If at this moment your heart feels light, understand that you lived rightly. And if your heart feels heavy, remember, this burden is not of money, it is of choice. This is the moment when a person feels the weight of their soul, understands the price of their actions, and comes face to face with the truth of their life. This video is not meant to frighten anyone. It is meant to awaken. Because the end can be changed if the path is changed in time. If you learned any lesson from this video, or if any word deeply affected your mind or heart, please share your thoughts in the comments below. Your reflections can guide other viewers and also help us create better content. Think, feel, and express your opinion with an open heart.